In 2025, three trends are converging to increase the risk of a global trade war. The first is the protectionist response to China's economic policies, in particular, its export of its manufacturing surplus worldwide. The second is a more muscular U.S. trade policy that combines tariffs, export controls, and investment restrictions to position the U.S. as a more significant economic competitor. And the third is the global embrace of industrial policy, which signals more tolerance for government intervention in the economy as governments put significant resources behind developing their own domestic industries at the expense of international trade and supply chain relationships.
We're going to see an increase in US-China tensions, and increasingly that will involve third countries and multinationals being caught in the middle with conflicting political pressures and regulatory requirements. So I think companies that are maybe a little bit desensitized to this after years of US-China competition and geopolitical risk need to get ready for the next phase and the next level of that tension.
What types of industrial policies does the U.S. plan to pursue? What forms of economic stimulus will China use at home? And where is the EU in terms of its regulatory environment?
One of the trends that we're noticing is even amongst more centrist political parties, they are increasingly taking ideas from the more populist end of the political spectrum, whether that's on migration policy, and we're seeing tightening up of visas, which can make it difficult for businesses to bring people into the country. It could be on things like industrial policy, trade policy, and being more protectionist in a sort of trying to put the nation's economy above the broader region and the rest of the world.
Governments in Asia Pacific will be watching the US closely to see to what extent it can and will remain steadfast on trade and security alliances in the region. At the same time, countries are going to be working towards securing their own strategic self-interests in anticipation of such unpredictabilities, which will likely take the form of deepening bilateral ties, regional alliances, or multilateral groupings in 2025. Businesses should also be watching these movements closely to remain best prepared to mitigate risks arising out of potential regulatory and geopolitical shifts.
The first step for many organizations is really to understand their exposure and vulnerability to an escalation of trade tensions, right? Where is your supply chain? Who are your first and second tier suppliers? Mapping that supply chain, understanding its exposure to specific policy risks, that's really the first step.